We're live. Robert J. Conley here. I am here to tell you to embrace your freak. I like saying that because I like to lighten up what is for some people, what I also call their dirty little secret. And it's your freak, which by freak I mean it's this. Oftentimes, it's this obscure or we'll say obscure for right now thing that energizes you. And for many people, it's an interesting phenomenon. The object of the satisfaction is like so obscure, or like they're the only person they know who gets such joy or fulfillment, whatever, from what that thing is. And so I'm going to give you 10 examples that aren't even outlandish, but the reason I bring them up is that to a person, every time that these were revealed to me, there was a certain sheepishness about it, that it like brought so much gratification, satisfaction to them. And the thing is that it's your freak that will keep you going. It's those moments. And the thing is that they don't happen all the time. And so, sometimes they just happen. Sometimes we have to work really hard for them to happen. But when they happen, we literally can feel high from the satisfaction that we get from them. And so the thing that is a game changer for any person is to commit to finding the audience looking for what your freak is. So often there's this sheepishness, or there's not a certainty that the world will appreciate what this thing is, that rather than search for the audience, search high and low for the audience, for the customers, for the whomever it is that is looking for what you have. Instead, there's a withdrawal because it comes from an uncertainty, or sometimes it's a fear of finding out that this special thing isn't something the world is looking for. Oh, what if I'm wrong? Or what boy, I don't want to have this little thing that is special to me somehow stomped on. And by withdrawing, you miss out on the possibility of a great adventure. In fact, one of my favorite quotes, which I thought I had, oh yeah, here we go. A great mentor of mine would say, don't seek security. It's better to live 30 years of a life full of adventure than 100 years in the corner. And what I find is that sometimes with this thing, and some of these things are very mundane, and for not all of them people have been sheepish about, but I'm sharing this cross section of 10 things in the hopes that whatever it is that you're freak you will embrace, you will use to energize, and you won't get disheartened that at times 98% of your life you don't get that satisfaction, because for the most part we've got to grind. Anyway, I'm trying to cut down on the number of tangents I go down. So I'm just going to say that, your freak is something that's like dessert. It's like you don't get it every day. And when you get it, it's super great and sweet. So here are these 10 that I have come up with, that I've recalled from the past. And this basically spans the length of my business career. So first out of college, I worked as an auditor for a Big 8 public accounting firm. And I worked for a guy who would literally, when he found a client mistake, would jump out of his chair in glee that he had found this mistake. And, I never felt that thrill. That's why I lasted barely 2 years as an auditor. I never found the thrill. But that guy went on to make partner in this big firm because that was his freak. He loved it. He got tremendous joy out of it. in my real estate career, I worked with an interior designer slash decorator who would just giggle in delight when she figured out the exact right shade of a color for a room. And I even remember one time where she was giggling so hard she literally had a little tear of joy coming out of her eye. It was that satisfying to have found not just the color but the shade of the color that she wanted. I've had a chiropractor friend of mine tell me of the satisfaction that he gets from having an adjustment just go just right, just like the perfect adjustment. And what he was talking about was the entire adjustment, not just one particular maneuver in one particular appointment, but when he just every one of his adjustments with a client that day worked, and it was just really super satisfying. A cook friend of mine who I would see cook, and the joy that would come over his face when he had just had it seasoned just right. And that was why he was a pro. He was obsessed with that. And again, he would oftentimes, because he would cook for our group of friends, and half the people there, they couldn't tell the difference. They didn't know. They weren't experiencing that joy he was experiencing. An organizer I know, a professional organizer, I mean, like clutter kind of organizer, not a political organizer, but a clutter kind of organizer. The satisfaction that she would feel after seeing all of the boxes now labeled with the contents and stored on shelves in alphabetical order. And what's so funny is that this was a person who comes from a place of a being of concern, as a worrier and a very conscientious person. And the result of that satisfaction was the desire to take a nap, because the stress had been relieved and there was the satisfaction of that being done. Another one, a restaurant manager telling me that just before opening, when he saw that the tables were all set up perfectly, everything was aligned, everything was perfect, that gave him just a happiness. And at that point, that he now felt that he was mentally ready to greet his customers. That put him in the mood. That was the thing that did it for him. Great house painter I know. His satisfaction was not in laying down a coat of paint. It was laying down a coat of paint on wood that he knew he had prepared perfectly. And so the satisfaction of now laying down paint on a perfectly prepared piece of wood. So like for most of us, like, yeah, I can see where it'd be satisfying to put down paint. Oh, wait, what? It's not enough just to put down the paint. It's got to be on the perfectly prepared piece of wood. I mean, that's why the guy was great. It was that kind of detail and the satisfaction he got from that detail that was so great. Years ago, many years ago, a janitor I knew, the calm joy that he took in explaining how much satisfaction he got from dust mopping the school that he worked at every day after school, because he knew that part of it was the process. I mean, part of it seemed like, in hindsight, it seemed like it was kind of a meditation for him, but he also just got tremendous satisfaction knowing that he was helping to keep a clean place for young kids to learn. And so again, I'm one of those people that if I ever hear anybody disparage a janitor, I will be in their face, because that's one of the most unappreciated and necessary jobs that we have. Offensive line coach who is number 9. Offensive line coach who took tremendous satisfaction in drilling his team over and over and over again, knowing that at any given practice, they might get it perfectly right once. But when that one time clicked, it was just so immensely satisfying. And I'll share with you one of my, I don't consider this freak, but it's what drives me, and it's not all that often. What I love is when a client with whom I'm working recognizes and names their freak, and the focus that brings now to the task of being in the right, in the right job, in the right position, understanding how it drives, understanding how rare it is, and to not be frustrated by the fact that you only get that real energy, energetic freak moment every once in a while. That most of work is pretty mundane, pretty repetitive, pretty methodical. It's not necessarily, physically gratifying the way that freak moment is, that just the right thing lines up and all those things happen. And it's equally satisfying for me too when I work with managers and leaders and they get that concept and how much more powerful they can be in leading a group if they can help each of their team members identify and embrace their freak, and then he as a leader can give them the opportunities to contribute to the team from that perspective. So that's what I've got for you today. Embrace your freak. It's where life lives. I'm Robert J. Conley. I'll see you next time.